What is up, CineNerds?
I'm JP. How you doing?
And I'm Ryan. What's going on?
What did I make you watch this week?
You made me watch a classic. We chose Natural Born Killers, or should I say JP did. And I was here for it because I hadn't seen it in a while. But I'll tell you what, it is really relevant to now. So let's dig in.
So, I can't talk today. It's been a minute. Initial impressions on this watch or even your original watch?
So, my original watch was followed up with numerous times of watching this movie when it first came out. I enjoyed this movie heavily in my youth, but I also, once I turned it off, though, that interest faded. I didn't go back. So this is kind of like a refresh, rewatch. And I'm not even too sure, because it was so long ago that when I watched those, the amount of the difference. But I saw the director's cut this time. So, and I understand from my research a little bit that there was 4 minutes of footage was pulled out of the original because of the gore factor. Mm-hmm. And Oliver Stone, he had to pull that 4 minutes back to try and get him away from the NC-17 rating. So in his director's cut, I got a lot more gore, which I was here for. But this is a fast-paced movie. It's 2 hours, but you don't feel like it because it just keeps going, to me at least. There's some moments that drag a little bit, but God damn, I forgot how much I love this movie. Let's put it that way. It's amazing.
Yeah. So, I watched the theatrical version this time, and the only reason I'd actually texted Ryan and told him, I said, I'm watching the theatrical version. I own the director's cut, but I watched it on digital because I do own it on digital, so I just watched the regular version. And I had even told him, and we'll talk a little more about it, but there's things I like better about the director's cut, and then there's things I like better about the theatrical version. The gore factor is what I like more about the director's cut for obvious reasons. You know, I always want more gore. The first time I watched this film, I did not see this movie in the theater. Did you see it in the theater?
I'm gonna be honest. This is kind of like, did you see that concert, that band, that one time? In my youth, there's so many movies and things I did I don't remember. I really don't.
I did not see this in the movie theater. I know the first time I saw this film, it had came out on VHS, and I believe I was at one of my friends' house. His name is Mike Church, and he had fell in love with this film, and it wasn't long after it came out on VHS, and basically he got obsessed with this film and just made everybody watch this film. And so that's what I remember is, you know, him being obsessed with this film and introducing me to it, and, you know, watching it for the first time. And man, I fell in love with this film. And you guys, if you've listened to any amount of our episodes, you've heard me talk about my love for Natural Born Killers.
And if I remember correctly, you said it's your favorite movie of all time.
It is.
Okay.
It is. This film is my favorite movie of
So should
all
we just
time.
say you're going to give it a 5 out of 5 nerds now?
I'm not going to say I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5.
Episode's over, guys. Go home.
But yeah, this movie, I think it impacted me at such a young age, and I don't know. I fell in love with the ideas of this movie, you know, and with everything being glorified, and it just became my all-time favorite film. And I know I've talked to people in passing, you know, and I'll bring up Natural Born Killers, and you'd be surprised the amount of people I've talked to that said they hate this film.
Oh yeah, dude, there's a huge audience that they are so pissed off about all the cuts in this. I actually heard multiple interviews with Bill Burr when I went down the rabbit hole with this one, where he's just like shitting on this. He's like, I almost had a seizure because of the amount of cuts, and he's not wrong. There's 3,000 cuts in this movie.
This film had more cuts in it than any other film ever made. I don't know if it still stands true, but when it was made, it had more cuts in it than any other film made.
And if you're someone who's just kind of tuning in and you're not a big movie buff, we're talking about cuts is the amount of times they had to segue into another scene or another thing happening. Because in this movie, you've got black and white cinematography. I remember hearing there's 18 different types of filming that were done in this movie too. So you've got black and white, like noir style. You've got color pops that are coming in. You've got animation, which was actually blindsidingly amazing and refreshing because I forgot about that. It's almost like a blue and red 3D animation happening that's really amazing. But between that, the color pops of certain aspects and certain scenes, the gore, the way everything's accentuated, all these little cuts added up. And if they're tying in the blood, the gore, the animation, the action sequences all together, it's a lot for someone to process. But I personally feel it was done very well, to the point where it pulled my attention more to the filmmaking. I thought at first it was so weird for me doing this rewatch because I completely forgot Oliver Stone directed this. I actually was like, did David Lynch do this? Because it gave me more of a Lynch vibe. I felt like I was watching Twin Peaks. Yeah. So it was interesting.
And the thing talking about the cuts in this film, unlike today, everything's done digitally. This wasn't digital cuts. This was film edit. They cut on the reel and edited cuts, on film and made the all these cuts for this film. And it's fucking mind blowing that, the work that went in just to editing on this film alone.
And there's lots of drama with this movie. There's lots of drama in the sense that what the actresses went through. Quentin Tarantino wrote the initial script for this. This was a movie that he wanted to do initially. He couldn't get it across the finish line, though, and through different channels, it got on Oliver Stone's radar, and he wanted to do it. There were certain scenes that put off Quentin Tarantino, the way that the script was being rewrote, and at one point, Quentin didn't even want his name associated with it. He tried pulling off this.
He hated this film for a long time.
Yeah, and specifically, it was because so Rodney Dangerfield, who's known as a comedian, there's a sequence with him in it as Juliette Lewis's father, and he's an abusive and sexually abusive person, and they try and accentuate it, and the color schemes and the ways they do it to portray him as evil and all these things going on really were intense. But you took a comedian like Rodney Dangerfield, who is only done comedy, put him into that sequence alone. I think that one was one of the ones that sent Quentin over the edge. He was like, no, I'm good.
Yeah, and Rodney Dangerfield in this film is fucking amazing.
He's amazing, but he's a little too spot on for the look.
He's completely, it was perfect casting. The scenes that we're talking about, it's all very colorful, and it's done like a sitcom. But
that was one of the things Quentin hated the most.
I fucking love the satireness of it being like a sitcom, and it's Mickey and Mallory meeting, and you finding out that Rodney Dangerfield is, he's sexually abusing his daughter and abusive to his wife, and it's played in like a happy sitcom kind of way. And Rodney wrote all his lines in this. Did you know this?
Yeah, they gave him creative freedom to do that. However, he also had moral standards. So he refused to do the sequence that you see where you see the hands groping Juliette Lewis's butt. That is not him. He had somebody else come in because he didn't feel comfortable doing it. So the fact that he added this level of drama to a resume of his, there's no serious roles for Rodney Dangerfield. Everything was all comedy, and it was all about not getting respect, And so, but when those things came into this, and he was actually trying to commit to this, some of the things he had to do that he asked for Oliver Stone was not to be the person groping, because he felt bad about that. He didn't want to be that person, and he wanted to write his own lines, and that's where you get the. I mean, they're not the most colorful lines, but it added more to the character.
Oh,
for
it was
sure.
His lines are so creepy and so off-putting, but again, done in a satire sitcom kind of way, and it's just that scene. All those sequences alone. I remember when I first watched this film, and even today when I watch this film, it's just like this is just over the top bonkers, but it's incredible, and it's so witty.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot. But Rodney Dangerfield was an unexpected surprise. Like, I forgot about his involvement in that sequence, but you're right, that scene did make for a lot of the foundation of what you'd see through the rest of the movie. And it was almost like you already got 40 minutes into the movie before we even got that. So kind of backstoried and backtracked into a flashback of how they had met. And that's where you kind of start getting a little more vested in these characters, understanding them.
Opening scene in this. What a fucking opening. I love the music in this.
Shit list, L7.
Yeah, I mean,
right off the rip. And the Leonard Cohen before that.
Yeah, Leonard Cohen.
Yeah.
Cohen before that, and then it leads into Shit List by L7.
Her singing the shit list while she's kicking the shit out of these dudes is awesome. It's kind of like her Alex moment from Clockwork Orange, where Singing in the Rain comes in. That's like she's beating the shit out of these dudes to You've Made My Shit List, and it's so good.
And I love, even before that happens, I love the waitress with the name tags. She has 3 name tags, for first, second, third shift. So they all the waitresses use the same shirt, and little details like that. I eat up.
Juliette Lewis, like she's ordering, she calls her Rosie, and she goes, "It's Mabel," and points to the top. She goes, "Whatever," and she just walks away, and she goes over to the jukebox. And man, the brutality of it is so good, though. It's just, I don't know. I enjoyed every second of that opening sequence too. What was it? I'm trying to remember. Is there a scene here that I heard about after I watched this? Is there a scene where there's a specific character who comes back in the movie later in the prison that is in this that foreshadows? I thought that somebody said that Owen, the guy that's at the end that helps him escape.
Yeah.
Somebody said that Owen is in this opening sequence walking away somewhere. Like
I think he is maybe in the director's cut, or he was supposed to be, or something. Yeah.
Because so it's supposed to be like foreshadowing, and I didn't see that or catch it, so now I'm going to rewatch it. So
yeah, I think you may be right. I had to go back and see, but I think that is correct. There is something kind of foreshadowing. And that's the one thing you're talking about Owen. I mean, and I hate to jump from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie, but in the director's cut at the end of the movie, Owen is in it a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually shows Owen get away with Mickey and Mallory. The theatrical version, they all get out of the prison, and then they show up in the woods, and it's just Mickey, Mallory, and Robert Downey Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Owen's not there. So in the director's cut, now it's been a while since I've watched this, so correct me if I'm wrong. Doesn't he start like flirting and getting real handsy with Mallory in the director's cut in the ending?
I don't remember. I didn't pay that much attention to him and those moments,
because it's been a while since I've watched that director's cut, but I swear that he gets real handsy and starts putting his hands on Mallory or something, and then they end up killing Owen.
I know that. Yeah, they do. They end up killing him. But did you know there's an alternate ending?
I did, but I
haven't
remember.
seen it. I don't know if it was filmed this way, but the alternate ending is Owen killing them in the woods.
Yeah,
and I was like, what? Like, so sorry to go beginning to ending, but yeah, just kind of cool stuff.
Well, and I'm saying this because that's how. And this, again, if you're in the comments, correct me if I'm wrong, because I have not watched that director's cut ending in a while. But from what I remembered was, I loved the director's cut. I loved the extra gore. But when it got to that ending with Owen, I mean, you had Owen help Mickey and Mallory get out of the prison, for them just to kill him. and him to get real. And the best I remember, he got real handsy and very creepy or something, and they ended up killing him, and that was why they killed him.
I think that sounds about right.
And that's why they killed him.
Even if it's in Mickey's head.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But that's the thing that I hated about the director's cut, and that's why I wanted to jump to this, because on the conversation of Owen in that director's cut, I always hated the ending with killing Owen, and how it twisted Owen after they left the prison. That's the one thing I never liked about that director's cut, and that's why I kind of usually don't watch the director's cut. So if I'm wrong on what actually happened and how I'm remembering it, correct me. But that's how I remember it, and I remember that's why I think I've only ever watched that director's cut once, maybe twice.
Yeah, it's I don't. That's what I'm saying. I've got to watch that theatrical version again to really dig in a little bit, because I don't know the differences, and I didn't look up the differences. I did look up a lot of the drama. I didn't look up the differences.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
So, do you know who one of the backup choices was for to play Mallory?
Oh, I knew this, but I can't remember right now. But I want to say it was somebody ridiculous like Jodie Foster or something like that.
Well, that's not I mean, there are some other ones that were options, but Tori Amos.
I do remember that.
Tori
now, yeah.
Amos was in the running to play Mallory. One of the stipulations, though, was that they had to include her song. It was something with a gun, and it is a song that's about her own experience of being raped, and she reportedly, and this is allegedly, I don't know for a fact, but reportedly she slapped Oliver Stone and turned it down after that because he didn't understand the context of her music or what it was about, given the scenario of who she plays and being molested by her dad. By the way, if you haven't caught on yet, this movie's not for the faint of heart. And so the topics we're talking about today there's a lot. There's all the way into politics, which isn't our normal thing, but you'll kind of hear as we go here. But yeah, so I found that really intriguing. Now, I would have liked to hear something from Tori Amos, and that's already amazing soundtrack for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But,
and Trent Reznor did this soundtrack, and I'm actually surprised with that era that Tori Amos, unless it was because of Tori Amos, that Trent wouldn't have put her on this soundtrack. Because I mean, to me, that seems like something. Her music, Trent would have understood it definitely a lot more than Oliver Stone.
What else was there? Was another little piece. This is a cool one. Quentin Tarantino. So obviously everybody talked about his wanting to be separated from this movie. He literally hated the film. Didn't want anything to do with it. Wanted his name pulled away from it because of the Rodney Dangerfield scene specifically and initially. Him and Juliette Lewis, they paid like peasants to watch the movie. They went into a theater and they checked it out for all of 20 minutes. And she looks over at him at one point, can totally tell he's disgusted, and he's mad because he's got this. When Quentin Tarantino holds a grudge, he holds a grudge. I think he's got a blacklist of A-list actors that he's worked with of like 7 different people, and he gives zero fucks about talking about it. But it was so bad that Juliette Lewis goes, "Hey, let's get out of here." So 20 minutes in, they leave. So he still hated this movie. It took getting into an elevator somehow with Johnny Cash for
Johnny and June.
And talked about how good the movie was to him, and he's like, "Well, at least there's that. At least I got that out of that. Okay, that's worth it. It's Johnny Cash, So, good stuff."
Yeah, it said that he kind of grew not to hate it after that, and that they allowed him to release his original screenplay.
The script's out there, so you can see it. There's footage, I imagine, somewhere, but he started to try and do this DIY. He tried to make this film originally before he even got into Oliver Stone's path. So I'm curious to see what the original intent was. And in interviews, he is quoted as saying that, if I get to the end of my career and there's not, a lot going on and I'm out of ideas creatively, I'd like to give my own run at this movie at some point. So it'd be interesting to see his original concept and take on what this movie meant to him, because he is he's a stunning director. I mean, I love Quentin.
Yeah, the thing is, I would be interested to see. I go back and forth on that, because I'd be interested to see what Quentin would do, because I love Quentin as a director. But what Oliver Stone did with this film, and I feel like the ideas that Oliver pushed for this film, with this film being kind of so satire, and this film is really, what this film is about is, it's about media, and it's about the media glorifying violence and popularizing these serial killers, and not just media, people in general, that glorify and fall in love with these serial killers and violence and things of that nature. But the whole satireness of how horrible our media is, and that stands so true today in today's world with the media and falsified news or clickbait or whatever it is, and glorifying these horrible fucking murderers and things. Oliver understood that back in the 90s when this was made, and that's what this movie is completely about. Now, my thoughts on that: would Quentin carry that on, or would he just make it about serial killers?
I'd be okay to see whatever version he gave us, whether it was that or not. I think that the end product of what we got was, I think it was pretty amazing. But I do think that there was definitely strategy to how they tried to get that across the board. Like, I know one of the things that they don't talk about a lot is like Coca-Cola actually thought it was an Oliver Stone movie. They're thinking like, clean, friendly, fun. They okayed the use of like either their likeliness or the polar bear.
The polar bears, yeah, the polar bears.
And so they got to see the final screening before it was released and freaked the frick out because of the amount of gore and the things happening in this movie. They're like, this is not representative of our product. But Oliver Stone didn't incorporate those details when he was, trying to get, hey, you'll have product placement in my movie. So I like that he was trying to go the backhanded route to use these things to his advantage. But at the same time, the delivery, holy shit, the delivery that we got though, like when you look at the media focus in this and the time relevance, what they're showing in the movie for these media clips is, to JP's point, our fascination with murderers is very unhealthy, honestly. And the focuses they used were like Menendez brothers, Rodney King, who was the other? There's another big serial killer in there, or another killer of some sort.
Yeah, I remember the Mendez brothers and Rodney King was in there.
They focused on Tanya Harding.
Harding.
If you remember the Nancy Kerrigan, Tanya Harding thing where she clubbed her knee and she couldn't do the Olympics. Things like that. We have an unhealthy fascination, and I like to use this point to show how relevant this movie is now. So you've got somebody who like Luigi, the recent guy who he offed the CEO of United Healthcare, I think it was. But we clung to him almost as a hero as a country because he gunned down this man. And, a lot of us have been screwed over by the healthcare industry and insurance companies. And so a lot of us identified with that moment where he had that frustration. At the same time, there's me who's thinking this guy has a job to do. It's what he was hired to do. And he's still a father and he's still got a family. So I don't like the thought that we glorify this individual, but I do agree with these topics needing to be brought to light. And if sometimes we got to make those things happen to get the attention of people so they listen, but I don't know, it's such a weird one.
The thing is, and you guys have heard me in previous podcasts, and I call it murder porn. I fucking hate what I call murder porn. I hate the glorification of serial killers. I hate the glorification of all these, not just serial killers, murders. murderers, and people watching this stuff and just somehow identifying. I don't know if they feel like they identify with it or what, but and you have people say, well, this is my comfort shows. Like, watching interviews with serial killers and stuff is a comfort thing. That's just disgusting, to me.
I don't think it's disgusting. I think it's curious. So we have this want to understand what we don't understand. And when we take a moment to step outside of ourselves and think about an individual who is free of the burdens that come with guilt, or like most of us are normal. Most of us have regret, remorse. We are sad by actions that happen, and some people just, especially with sociopathic tendencies, they are free of those boundaries, those being confined by that. So I think that people are curious of the allure as to what sparked that, how they became that. Some people do take it incredibly far, though.
They do.
Yeah.
It's one thing if you're watching it here and there, but I know people that's all they watch 24/7, and it's like, this is absolutely awful. And
my wife's one of those, but I'll tell you what, she's not batshit crazy. She's a medical professional, so it's more of her trying to understand these people. Like I was just saying, that's the only reason I understand it, and I'm intrigued as well. So I watch a lot of these with her, but there are some people who are excessive.
Well, and I watched a lot of these as well, and so I get the curiosity. And I've told this story on the show in the past. My turning point was there was an episode of something, or it was a series where the series was actually talking to the serial killers, and they were interviewing them. And this particular serial killer, when I walked in and this was playing, he was talking about raping and killing this 7-year-old little girl. And he's telling the story, and he's laughing and giggling about what he did. And it washed over me. It made me angry. And at that point forward, all those shows became disgusting to me. Like, something switched in my head as soon as I saw it. I was like, I can't watch this, and this is not going to be played in my house. Like, I can't, mentally it was too much for me, and it become that I cannot watch that stuff, anymore. And I get the interest, because I had interest, I would watch some of them here and there. Not by my own choice. I wouldn't put them on. My ex would. But it's just, I can't accept those things anymore. For me, I get the curiosity. But going back to what you were talking about with like Luigi, with people glorifying him because of what he did, and here's the thing. You said you don't know which side to actually kind of fall on. Is kind of what I was understanding.
No, it's more so like,
I get the understanding. I get the understanding of why he did what he did.
Mm-hmm.
But I could never condone someone being killed. Again, like you were saying, this guy probably had kids, wife. Yeah. I don't know what all he had, but this guy had a family. I can't condone murder in any form. That being said, do I understand why this guy did what he did? Because of healthcare. I do. The healthcare is broken. The insurance companies are broken. They suck. However, there's other ways to get the insurance companies to make their heads turn without murdering somebody. Now,
how would you go about it without?
I do not want to say how I would go about it. I do have ideas of how I would go about it. But if I say that on air and shit starts happening, then you guys are going to start, government's going to start coming at me. And we're not doing that today. But there are other extreme measures you can do without hurting or killing people to get people to open their eyes.
Well, we'll talk about one more topic with this movie, and then we'll move more into the movie. But one of the things that was an issue at the time, this movie came out post Columbine. No, wait, it's pre. It was pre-Columbine, wasn't it?
This was had to be pre
94.
Yeah.
So yeah, because Columbine was 97, I believe. When this movie was coming out on home video at the time, it was VHS release, maybe Laserdisc, I don't remember because of that era. But when it came out, it actually got delayed being released because there was a huge school shooting in Scotland, and there's a few others that preceded that. But we're seeing this movie. Actually, sorry, let me rewind here. I got lots of thoughts happening in the head here. This movie brought up so much that it had legal battles going back and forth. People were blaming this movie for some of these shootings. People were dramatically affected by this movie because of the gore and the intensity of what was happening in it. But you actually had school shooters citing this movie as a reason for why they were doing what they were doing. It went to court, and it ultimately ended up being deemed that any fictional depiction of a movie cannot be the determination for why anyone does what they do, which I completely agree with. If you're somebody who can't separate fiction and reality, then you need to be mentally addressed and looked at, because movies are movies, man. These are fictional characters. So I'm hoping that anyone that has those violent urges, they reach out, they do their due diligence in finding the help they need. But we're going to be we bulk film when we do these. So this movie review will get released 1-2 weeks from when we're filming it. But just yesterday, there was another mass shooting here at a Catholic school. And the individual was trans. There was multiple aspects to what he wrote on the ammo stocks, things that he did, the reasons why he was citing what he did. One of them was citing vaping, JP. He claimed he had cancer and was dying because of vaping.
Well, I mean, it happens.
I'm trying to get this guy to quit vaping. So if you guys want to come into the comments and maybe help me out here.
He's not only trying to get me to quit vaping, he's trying to get me to quit smoking, because I started smoking back after all the
stress, which was an understandable reason. But anyways, there's all I'm saying is that there are people out there that definitely have urges and thoughts, and just please don't act on those things. Seek help. It's so important before you hurt anyone, any way, shape, or form. That aside, this movie, as a movie, not in any serious context, but as a movie, as just a viewing, it's pretty much impeccable. This movie, start to finish, outside of the drama and the things that happen with the actors, the actresses, the legalities, all those things, you take that all out of there and you just watch a movie for what it is. This movie it's got action. It's got kills. The Robert Downey Jr. Let's get into Wayne. Okay, Wayne, I don't know. First of all, there was, who was the actor who was supposed to play him before Robert Downey got a hold of it?
Oh, I knew this too, and I can't remember who it is right now.
There was the short list of other actors before the actors that we saw in the movie that were there were fucking superb. I would have loved to see any one of them. But Wayne, Robert Downey Jr. coming into this film, I think this might have been his first film on his comeback trail, if I remember correctly, because he had his drug falling out. He went through a lot.
I think he fell back off, and then he still think he had those. What was it that bad drunk driving wreck or whatever it was he had, and he was arrested. That was after all this.
Oh,
that
wow.
was after this film.
So either way, he convinced Oliver Stone to let him. He was using. There was a individual in Australia who was known for shock pieces, just like what Wayne was doing in this movie, and so he wanted to kind of feed off that. He convinced Oliver Stone to let him use a Australian accent. Came in full swing, and I'm watching this dude with a mullet and Australian accent, and I'm like, this is cool. I enjoyed it.
He always, and I knew that he took the style from that guy in Australia, but growing up, I always saw this as like Geraldo.
So I was getting into that. So they used the interview sequence in jail where Wayne is interviewing Mickey. They used the interview style of what Geraldo did with Manson, which I thought was pretty cool. I thought that was a way to kind of give respects, but at the same time show how things actually happen there. Because Robert Downey did that scene, I really believed him. You seemed like he was saying all the good stuff to Mickey to get him to do the interview, and then after he did that, he was kind of baiting him in it to try and get the anger out of him. And I was here for that because you believed it when you saw his eyes, and I love that shit.
Yeah. and that's just more of the satire of this film, is the over the top and the glorification of violence within the media, and that's again, that's what this film is about. And Robert Downey Jr. played it over the top, and it was perfect, to the point that, you know, as Mickey and Mallory are still on their killing spree, I mean, it's very on location, you know, trying to see these dead bodies and trying to show the aftermath of what, and glorifying Mickey and Mallory, to where after they get arrested and they're in prison, he's trying to do these up in person interviews, and he's baiting Mickey, and you know, you get the tagline, you know, in this interview with Mickey look at him and go, "Well, I'm just a natural born killer," you know, but the slyness of Woody Harrelson is just incredible.
And Quentin said he would never would have thought to pick Woody, and he didn't care for Woody as Mickey. He thought that Juliette Lewis was the embodiment of what he wanted out of Mallory, but he would never picked him for that. So the fact that he was kind of the underdog coming into this and how well he delivered it was amazing. Just even after he shaved his head, that first fucking head rub, when he just rubs his head and he looks up at the mirror, like, oh, so good, man.
Well, and it's crazy because now, you know, this generation, you see Woody Harrelson, you could definitely expect Woody Harrelson to play this role. Now, back then, Woody Harrelson was known for comedy. Yeah, he was a comedic actor.
I think White Men Can't Jump and all that came out around the same era.
And,
so yeah,
and he was known for Cheers, you know,
primarily. Yeah, but he had already made his way past that. But yeah,
but he was known as a more of a comedic actor, and so when he was cast as Mickey, as a serial killer, I don't think a lot of people in the public eye had a lot of faith in. I will be honest with you. I think the best I remember, the reason I did not watch this movie in the theater was because I didn't think a movie with Woody Harrelson as a serial killer was going to be anything I wanted to see.
Oh no, so good.
And now I'm like, oh yeah.
Let's unpack something that I want to talk about is how does a sociopath have a moral compass? And that's with the Indian sequence in the sweat lodge. Like, that was a pretty intense scene for me. I loved every second of it. Yes, because they're on shrooms and they're trying to get through a lot, but like the whole where they're speaking in the Navajo language and they're showing the subtitles across their chests. And yeah, I'm pointing over to JP, sorry. But they're showing the subtitles across their chests, and so you can understand what they're saying. And when they're doing that, you have a whole different picture, because the Navajos are talking to each other and you can hear what they're saying, but Mickey and Mallory don't know what they're saying. And they just think these people are being kind to them, but they're still calling them demons and whatnot. You come to find out when the Indian does get shot by Mickey accidentally, you come to find out that he had foresaw him 20 years earlier and that he knew this demon would come for him. And at this point, even though the language is different, you can feel it that Mickey understands very clearly he's the demon. And as they're walking out of the sweat lodge to get away from there, there's an actual sequence of rattlesnakes around their feet. Now, they did camera angles, so it looked like they were really close and on top of them, but they were farther away. But they were actual rattlesnakes in that scene. That made it really interesting.
Yeah, I read someplace that it was like 150 live rattlesnakes or something.
But the other thing that I found interesting was because Mickey's essentially having a bad trip, if you will, and he wakes up and he shoots the Indian, and it's the Indian and his grandson. And when he wakes up and shoots the Indian, Mallory is very, very upset. He's upset. He's even crying because he doesn't understand what's going on. He was just that into his mushroom experience. But Mallory looks at him and goes, bad, you did a bad thing. And when she does that, I'm like, so wait, do these guys have moral compass? Like, is there a code here? Like, it was just interesting because I wasn't expecting that, because it seemed like they had no rhyme or reason at most of their kills.
They didn't, and it was, and even after that, you know, Mickey in the interview, he was like, you know, the one I regret was the Indian, and they're like, oh, well, it was one of your last kills, and he's like, yeah, we were going to stop, you know, we were going to stop, you know, and what changed in them there, I don't know. Never understood it, but other than this guy showed kindness to them, and they had some kind of empathy for this individual until they again was in this sweat tent and kind of went on other mind. And
well, to me, this makes the characters more, it brought me closer to the characters. And the reason I say that is because if you've listened to the podcast, you know I love a conflicted antagonist, and these guys are kind of your protagonist antagonist, actually. So the way that they're back and forth, but this moment specifically, anytime you have that conflict happening, I love that shit because it makes me feel like, okay, they've got human elements. They're not just a brutal killer. They've got a human capacity. It's one of the reasons I love Dexter. Shut up. He's spoken his 2 cents, but he hasn't watched the new Dexter series yet.
it already got canceled.
No. That one's the prequel series. The one where Dexter's still alive that I told you about. It's 4 episodes in. And it's fucking amazing. And the cast, untouchable. But anyways, Dexter is another conflicted one. And I love it.
All right. We already kind of talked about the end of this movie. Do we want to talk a little bit more about the ending?
I mean, I talked about the alternate ending. And to me, I kind of like they escaped and they had a whole fucking family in an RV traveling around the country aspect, because it made it more it made you think more about different there are murders that are still out there that, you know, like look at the Zodiac killer. Nobody's definitively talked about or found out who he is to this day. You've got Jack the Ripper was never identified. There's so many serial killers
that just identified Jack the Ripper.
I hear it all the time. I don't believe it.
They got DNA proof.
Okay. Who is it?
Oh, they named him, but I can't remember the guy's name.
I keep
now.
hearing that, and there's even a dude who thinks he's the grandson of Jack the Ripper, and he was doing this whole docuseries.
I read this article, and it's been scientifically proven that they have figured out who he was with the DNA. But
that's what, like, every week I hear that Amelia Earhart's been found too. So it's like, all right, I need to know the definitive proof.
He wants to see the corpse.
But regardless, the escape angle is interesting because, I think the 90s, and, there's other movies, obviously, where you don't get that happy ending, too. But the 90s definitely started leaning towards your antagonists more than your protagonists, in the sense of they got away and they had their happy endings there, but there wasn't a happy ending for anyone that was doing the right things and of that nature.
Yes, because we're a wild generation.
Truth, man. It's weird. Like, I do think if you're going to take away anything out of this, the focus that Oliver Stone turned it to the media and the unhealthy obsessions that we as American people have with these icons, it's not okay. Like, this fucking Sydney Sweeney shit's gotten out of hand. I'm sick of the fucking memes in my fucking thread. It just
the Cracker Barrel bullshit.
The Cracker Barrel bullshit. Everything's so over the fucking top. Just settled. You know what, guys? We have more pressing issues right now than fucking logos and ads from fucking companies that don't give two shits about us. So I'm just gonna tell you like this: focus on what we got to focus on, and let's get. I love this country. I have all the pride in this country in the world, but what it currently is, not so much. And that means that I don't care if you're right or left. Fucking wake up and fucking let's look at the real problem. Our government's in shambles. Let's fix it. And I'll shut up on politics.
Absolutely. Box office budget. Did you look at it?
I did not.
I do have it, and I did look at it.
Okay.
And
oh wow, this is gonna be a rough one, because
this one was a little surprising on the budget and the box office. So you will make a guess? Budget.
I'll make a guess. So we've got Oliver Stone, we've got decent actors. Oh, by the way, before I get into the budget, I will say this: I'm convinced that this was Tommy Lee Jones' audition for Two-Face.
I can see that.
Tommy Lee Jones was the warden of the prison, and his insanity in this. Anyways, budget.
But I think that came out. Did that come out before this?
Came out before Batman Forever. Yeah, this one did.
Oh, okay.
All right. Oliver Stone, decent cast. 3,000 cuts versus 600 or 700. 18 forms of videography. Let's go. 125 mil.
You're way high.
See, this one's not one I don't. There's no gauge for this being 94, and the times and what were
Probably in today's market, probably around that, but
way high.
yeah.
Wow, they did all that with that. I'm okay. Go ahead.
Budget was $34 million.
Jesus Christ! See what I'm talking about? Like,
yeah. Now in today's inflation and everything, hell, you may be getting pretty close to that $100 million, but
I don't. This is an instance of where people are just abusing the fucking clock. I'm sorry, dude. There's no reason for these fucking 200 million plus budgets in some of these huge films. It's just stupid. But go ahead.
Box office.
Okay, so
on a $34 million budget.
I'm gonna stick with the same number I
now,
just had.
Mind you, this is rated R.
Okay, I'm gonna still stick with that. I'm gonna go 125 mil.
Okay, you are still way high.
Really?
This movie did worldwide just over 50 million.
Okay, that's interesting. That is definitely interesting.
But keep in mind, it's rated R.
Yeah, but I was seeing rated R movies when I was a kid, and it didn't matter. I mean,
yeah, I get it, but I mean, most of your rated R films, even in the 90s, I mean, if you cracked, 20, 25 million, then you were doing good. Yeah, because you're closing off a big market with not having people under 18.
I can get that.
So I mean, 50 million is not today's numbers on what.
No, but I think that I feel like this, just because I hold this in such a high regard, I feel like this one. I wish people knew about it better. That almost I feel like he could have done a lot better. That's all.
Oh yeah. Now, when I looked at actually what the box office was for this film, I actually was a little took back. I was like, "Wow, Oliver Stone film, and this movie is so well regarded, and this movie just people loved this movie when it came out, and it only made 50 million."
Do you know what? Now that I'm talking about it though, and I'm saying things out loud, I definitely can understand this because. You got telephone tag, right? So people go see it, and they come out of it. You got 50% of the people who are absolutely thrilled and loved it and thought it's a fucking classic, and then you've got the other half that were like, I felt like I was having a seizure. There's too many cuts. It's this and that, and there are a lot of people who complained about it. So I could see people going out and spreading that word, and then people not wanting to see it and wait till it came out.
Yeah, and I mean, this movie, I mean. I think it became. I think a lot of people between the cuts, and I think a lot at the time. I think it went over a lot of people's heads on what this movie actually was.
Yeah, no, it was. I don't know. I think it was amazing. That's all I know.
Ratings?
A lot to dig in here. So I know. We already addressed we know what JP's going with.
You don't.
We know. Anyways, so for me, I won't be quite as high as JP, but it is up there for me. This movie, I don't think that, maybe it's because I saw it and it was Woody Harrelson and Juliette Lewis. Maybe it's because I saw it and those people are imprinted as these characters. But these were roles of a lifetime for these two, in my opinion. Honestly, they couldn't have picked a better two to do it. And the other sub characters, you've got people like Robert Downey Jr. Who was the detective? The detective that was batshit.
Oh, Scagnetti.
Scagnetti's the character's name.
What's his name? It was in a lot of Quentin movies.
Did you know the sequence within this prison cell where he's with Mallory? She actually broke his nose on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
That was unbelievable. But anyways, so with those things said, the things that actually came out of the filming, the love and hate with Quentin Tarantino and Oliver Stone, the Johnny Cash, all these little spidered off side stories and side quests that spun off from this movie. And the movie itself being as amazing as it is, I'm gonna go 4.5 nerds because this one it's definitely up there for me. It's a solid watch. I never get sick of this movie. It's got heart.
Tom Sizemore, I couldn't remember his name.
That's right.
Yeah, Tom Sizemore played Scagnetti. Okay, yeah. I mean, it's not a bad rating. It's not a bad rating.
It's a great movie.
I mean, yeah, I chose this movie. I've said in numerous episodes, this is my all-time favorite film, and I love the satire. I love that it's, as much as it glorifies violence in media, it's showing you what's wrong with media, with glorifying violence. Now, I'm all about watching violent films, but when it comes to real violence, that's where I have that's where I have a line that I think needs to be drawn with what's being glorified and what's being presented to you. These serial killers and things, that they should never be admired. They should never be loved. And especially at the time, the media was horrible with really glorifying the killers and not the victims. I will say, in recent years, to a certain degree, some media outlets have gotten better about talking about the victims versus the killers. But that wasn't a thing back then. They would be killed. I dare you to name, half the people that, some of these big serial killers killed, like, Gacy or Dahmer, and I'm sure some of the super fans, I can name all of them. Well, that's fine, but the media didn't talk about the victims by name. They talked about Dahmer. They talked to, they that's who you heard. You heard the serial killer's name. So it was always glorified. And I love the satireness of what this film is about for that reason, because I never agreed with how the media treated and glorified a lot of things. This movie impacted me when I was a kid. I have seen this movie, I couldn't tell you how many times through the years, and this movie never gets old. It's so good start to finish. Again, talking about the cuts, the soundtrack. We didn't even dive a lot into the soundtrack.
The soundtrack's amazing.
Jesus, this soundtrack start to finish that Trent Reznor put together is incredible. And I say that, and I'm not a huge Nine Inch Nails fan.
I am.
But what Trent did with this soundtrack was just fucking phenomenal. I know I'm rambling, so I'll just go ahead and get to my rating. It is a perfect 5 for me. And everybody...
5 nerds out of JP.
Everybody that has heard me talking about this movie on this podcast, you knew that this was going to be a perfect 5 for me. But to me, this is... And I'm not an Oliver Stone fan. I'm not a big Oliver Stone fan. If you go look at his catalog of like JFK and Born on the 4th of July, so on and so on, those movies are okay, but I'm not a big Oliver Stone fan. So for this movie to be my all-time favorite film, it's not even, you guys hear me talk about, I love this director and I love everything he's done. My all-time favorite film is done by a director that I could care less about the rest of his catalog.
That's fair. JFK wasn't bad, though.
No, and I'm not saying that Oliver Stone didn't have good movies, but the majority of his movies are just movies that I could watch them once and I don't have to ever watch them again, except for this one.
What was I going to talk about? It's gone. Flew away.
Do you have any film recommendations?
Yeah. Series. I am only 4 episodes in at this point, because that's all that's been released at this point while we're filming. But Alien Earth. There's a lot of people talking about this online because it's taking away some of the what people deem as mistakes of Prometheus and Covenant. But I don't see it as that, and I would be happy to talk about it down the road on another episode maybe. But Alien Earth for me, if anyone's read the Alien books, if you know that you're in the same universe as Blade Runner, because that's already been confirmed through Ridley Scott, some of the scenery, some of the imagery, there's cars flying around, they're doing their thing, and it all reminds me of Blade Runner. The darkness, though, the like noir, the murder, the gore that you actually get out of a TV series, It's stunning, and it reminds me of the books. The books are far darker than anything you see in the movies, and it made me. There's a specific sequence that happens in the second episode. I won't give away details because it's all still new, but in that moment, I was like, "This is Aliens. This is what I wanted," and it is so great. So please check that out.
So I'm just going to go ahead and throw this one out here. You did a series. I'm just going to do a film series because I just rewatched the entire Tremors.
Yeah.
Tremors series.
I was waiting for him to.
So yeah, I just rewatched Tremors, Tremors 2, Tremors 3, Tremors 4, Tremors 5, Tremors 6, and Tremors 7, and I just ordered the Tremors TV series.
I was going to ask if you delved into that.
I haven't because they took it. It used to be on Tubi, and I was getting ready to dive into the Tremors series. But it was removed from Tubi, so I found it on Amazon, a DVD of it on Amazon for like $9. So I was like, it's supposed to be here today, so I'm going to actually watch the Tremors series now. But I watched the whole series of films, and yeah, there's ones that are, but the majority, most of all of those films are fucking bangers in their own right. Yeah. Now, none of them's as good as the original, but man, if you want to go down a rabbit hole of just, if you've never seen all of them, fucking go down that rabbit hole because you're really not going to be completely let down with all of them.
Fair enough. I won't be going down that rabbit hole.
Then you are missing out.
I'll watch them. Like I've just gotta. Those are the type of movies that I'll put in the queue. And I did see Tremors 1 and 2, but I've never seen beyond that.
Oh, see, they get so good because they follow Bert after the third one.
Well,
and you get Jamie Kennedy in 2 of them. You get John Heder in 1 of them.
You're not selling me. But those are the things that I would put like in my queue, and if I have nothing else going on, I'd happily watch. You know what I mean? So it's not letting them put off by. It's like, you know what I rewatched recently was Species, and I didn't have a very serious appreciation of that series until I rewatched it.
The series is cool. I've got the whole series on DVD.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can appreciate all that stuff. So
if you can go through the Species series, then the Tremor series is a piece of cake.
No, the CGI is far worse. Maybe not in the second film for Species was a little rough, but I've seen some of the CGI from Tremors and later films, and I was like, man.
Oh no, some of that CGI gets better, and then they still keep a lot of the practical effects. Now there is certain things they do CGI that's like okay, but the Species is way worse.
See, I can't say anything because one of my favorite horror franchise, some of the CGI in Hellraiser is just god awful. So it's what it is.
But I mean, when they do the practical effects, and even still when they do the practical effects, like Tremors still looks good, you know.
Yeah.
So, CineNerdsPodcast.com. You can go there. You can go to our shop, and you can get some really cool items. And the items as
sorry, I forget.
Yeah,
he's these camera angles. These are still test products that we just got, but we got a little drawstring bag here. This is probably, and I talked about this in our little unboxing video, but this is probably one of the best coffee mugs I have gotten in a while. Quality is bar none, dude. This is great. I don't know if you can see it. Zoom in. Sorry for those of you who are just listening. We also got pajama pants that were something we're looking at here, so should show those too. Little logo action happening there too. So we got our merch store up on that CineNerdsPodcast.com. You should really check it out.
And there's T-shirts, there's hoodies, you can get mugs. I believe there's keychains, and there's all kinds of goodies on there. So you go there, order anything. It helps us out. It helps Angela out at Seemingly Perfect Designs, and
we're goodies and we're sweet, but we're not included. Yeah. Sorry.
So, and as well as all of our updated schedules, episodes, links to all of our socials, our letterboxes. which Ryan's always doing written reviews on there. I started trying to get some written reviews back up on our website, and I've actually been stealing some of his written reviews from Letterboxd and posting onto our website.
That's fine. That's great. Do it. That's because he's way more savvy than I am with the tech side of things. So I let him handle the website.
Yeah. So I did start actually. Like I did one, and then I took 2 of his off of his Letterboxd.
Which ones? I didn't know you did that.
Yeah. Well, you commented on one of them the other day. Said on my Letterboxd. That was your review on our website.
Well, I thought you watched
it. Was the
and
curse?
Did your review.
No, it was yours.
Okay, all right.
No, it was cursed. The curse.
That movie was
And there was another one I did too, but I can't remember. Oh, it was Hunter x Hunter. I put your
that one's
I
great.
put your review of Hunter x Hunter.
I was very very happy about watching that one. That one made me feel good about stuff. So that was nice. I like that.
Yeah, and that was off my recommendation. See,
his recommendations will work. Anyways, we'll quit rambling. Until next week, guys. We're your CineNerds. Peace.
Later.